about this morning, 6th edition of the course. And we've been Sarasvathy and Frank Warnock and I have been doing this since 2006. And I think it gets better every year.
Yes.
Right? And we change the format kind of every year too. But, just briefly, so now since 2010, it's now a full year course structure. So we start in Q1 and end in Q4. Jump in anytime.
Yeah, but so in Q1 we meet regularly. We have an early week schedule next year, early week 4:30. In Q1 it's really about thinking about problems, right? So our students often will come to us with solutions, but we force them in Q1 to think about problems. It could be problems locally, it could be problems globally, but really focus on the problem. And the idea behind Markets and Human Hope is how do you come up with ventures that would address the problems, right? And it could be whatever you care about anywhere in the world, or in Charlottesville, or somewhere else in the U.S. It doesn't matter. How do you come up with ventures that will actually help alleviate this problem? And the thinking is, you can think about a lot of NGOs or governments that might want to address these problems, might think that they're addressing these problems, but it's our view that you can get to the solutions much better and to scale through the incentives that entrepreneurship and things like that would put in place, right? And so governments, Veronica and I talk to governments all the time, and governments will want to, or NGOs, will be able to often solve a problem in an area, but they can't get scale, right? You can't ask them to deal with an issue in another area. They'll say, look, we're kind of tapped out. This is where we can operate. It's our view in MHH that if these things take root through entrepreneurship, through market mechanisms, through incentives, then it can actually spread, and you can get to the development work that NGOs might want to do, governments might want to do. Entrepreneurship could easily be a much better way of making this happen.
And the thing that we have to think about is that there are social problems, and poverty is a problem still in the world, and we want to figure out better ways to address those problems. So for example, if you think about the World Bank is how many years old? 50. Over 50 years old. And then a lot of nonprofits have been doing their work forever. So we want to be able to reduce the problems in the world and think of innovative ways to do that.
Yeah. Saras, you want to jump in?
Just wanted to add, I was just talking to Baby Margaret Frank and it just struck me. So governments are trying to solve problems. There are, entrepreneurs trying to solve problems as well. But sometimes we forget that what we call the government actually also consists of people, and some people in government actually have incentives to create barriers for market solutions. So this is not only about creating a venture, but to use business and entrepreneurship as a tool, also to move governments in the right direction in some ways. In some cases, you have to not work with governments, you have to work against them, and that's part of the story too. And it's about building out everything that's required in a market. So you have to think beyond venture to some extent. And then that's why starting with big problems, worrying about problems, thinking institutions, thinking structures, and then somehow making it yours through a venture, right? We want to do that's the way to think about it.
Exactly.
And did you say fight with government?
Sometimes. Hopefully subvert, not fight.
Clarify something on that. This is not, we're not saying we hate the government, we hate nonprofits, we hate what they do. It's not that. Okay? It's trying to figure out better ways to solve problems.
Right.
And another few things that we want to emphasize is that the entrepreneur here is the orchestrator. But it begins and ends, in my mind, where the problem is. The persons you're trying to help or serve. Not help, serve. Staying away from charity and aid. And we want to focus on trying to understand the problems, the who, what, where, when, how, why of the problems. And that's already a big part of figuring out how to come up with the solutions. Once you know all those, as much as you can, then you can figure out the best creative ways when forming your business.
And the people that you'll want to serve will help you figure these things out as well.
Right, it's not a one-way thing, okay?
Yeah, love it.
Okay.
And I love the capitalization.
Yeah, we forget that the human factor, and we're talking about, yes, you are the important catalyst or orchestrator as an entrepreneur, but don't forget the people that you're trying to serve. Okay. There will be 6 or 7 presenters today, but we also have other people in our Markets and Human Hope class, and they're not here, but these are just quickly the problems that they're trying to address. You can just look through the list quickly.
Yep. So Mansi is worried about seniors aging in place in India, in particular, and lack of support. And so I was thinking about that. Kristen and Owen thinking about expanding markets for organic food farming. Veronica has her nori bar, but is in Markets and Human Hope, she's trying to figure out whether there's actual impact on things like health and other things through her venture with nori bar. Eric's thinking about Tibetans in Sichuan province of China and the conditions there in Adam education in Togo. David, the small medium enterprises in developing countries not having affordable access to finance, and Bruce thinking about a common problem of lack of spreadsheet and computer skills among people.
And Vineet, you forgot Vineet.
Oh, Vineet, yes, you're right. Yep. And Vineet's thinking about the so in I think it's in northwestern India, you get a lot of migration that's based on when the planting and the harvesting is, and thinking about how the people that are involved in that can have better lives. Now, it's always going to be through in Markets and Human Hope. It's going to be through entrepreneurial things, right? Where the people could actually take something on and run with it, as opposed to, oh, we feel bad and we should just throw money at the problem, right? It really is a thing about thinking about mechanisms by which the problem would actually naturally go away, right? Is one way of thinking about it.
Okay, but we have 6 presentations today.
All right.
We'll start with